I'm going to introduce my daughter, Merindi Swadling. She's going to give a presentation on imagination. And Merindi is a second-generation Urantia Book reader. She lives in Wollongong in Australia. She's married to a long-term reader, Bernie Belaski, and they have two young daughters, Rose and May. She served as the vice president of the association from 2007 to 2014 and is currently serving on the governance committee. She has a busy professional life, working as a senior leader in the banking and finance sector, and holds a master in business administration. And in her spare time, she enjoys socializing with friends and family. So I'm going to hand you over to Mins, and just some few things here. If you don't want to be videoed, this is being videoed, so just turn your video off if you don't want your face there, and if you're chatting on your computer, mute yourself. Well, that's about it, guys. So I'll hand you over to Merindi, and she's going to give her presentation on imagination.
Thank you. Thanks, Trevor. Thanks to everybody who's staying up late, and obviously our Australian, New Zealand, Asian friends who are here to support. I'm going to share my screen. I want to address imagination, or I want to just meander around imagination a little bit. After Marianne's fabulous presentation, I don't feel nearly as prepared, so I'm trying, hopefully we'll make it a little bit lighthearted and have a bit of fun with it. So I don't really know why I chose imagination. I guess for a while now, as I read the Urantia book, and you know, there's a plethora of statements and comments in the book about we don't know, it's unrevealed. I mean, I'll get to my presentation, I'll talk about it, but really I just think the power of imagination, especially in the context of the Urantia book, and they've given us so much, but there is just so many gaps as well, and there's so much opportunity for us to imagine and ponder and dream. Okay, so I mean, a quick definition of imagination. I'm pretty sure none of this it's not that much of rocket science when we think about the word imagination, but it's really forming mental images, concepts that of what is not actually there, or so the action or process of forming such concepts and producing ideal creations consistent with reality, as in literature, you know, as distinct from the power of creating illustrative. So it's all about creating something that's not quite there, and it's not obvious, or it's not real. You're forming a concept, or you're creating something that that's more about your mind and the way you're imagining things. So in psychology, it talks about the power of reproducing images stored in the memory under the suggestion of associated images. So this is a bit of a definition. But when I was thinking about this presentation, I wanted to start with the concept of child development. So I am not an expert in child development. I can definitely talk as an expert, as a parent and observing young children, but I think the imaginative play, you know, you see it in these young kids. You see them doing role plays, their hours with a cardboard box, creating a plane, or they're creating a game out of nothing. They're on their own creating that, or talking to their imaginary friends, or they're with their siblings or their friends. And you know, I have these stories of my daughters for years. It's probably only just sort of started to slow down as my oldest daughter just turned 11, but in their younger years and toddler years and hearing them talk to their imaginary friends. My oldest daughter Rose, she had a handful of friends probably for a good 3 years, and they came with us everywhere, and she talked to them, and they sat at the table and had dinner with us every now and again. And it's just this sort of depth and passion that is beautiful to observe in children. And I think, well, this is taken off the internet about why do kids do this, and they're creating skills that they need later in life. It's about their gross motor and their exercise, language development, communication, and most importantly, that sort of problem solving. They act out and they sort through their days. They figure out sort of what's happening around them through this recreation of their play and their imaginary play. So then I started thinking about imagination in the corporate world or in business. So this little quote is taken out of the Harvard Business Review. Imagination, the capacity to create, evolve and exploit mental models of things or situations that don't yet exist, is the crucial factor in seizing and creating new opportunities and finding new paths to growth. So, I mean, anybody who works in the corporate world or anywhere probably in the 21st century, it's a bit of a catchphrase for us at the moment, innovation. And there are head of innovation roles, there are laboratories, or they call them labs. In the banking sector, we've got these labs in our buildings where people spend all of their day trying to come up with the next greatest thing, and how to disrupt and how to create new products and how to innovate. And I guess that's off the back of financial rewards that have occurred, and we've seen them happen. And there's big ones around disruption and real significant industries that have been disrupted, like what Apple did to Kodak. The camera and the taking your film down to Kodak to be printed is now a thing of the past. Netflix did to Blockbuster, Uber did to taxi industries. All these sort of examples of real disruption permeates a lot of our corporate world today. So I can talk about that more if anyone's interested. But then, so I guess it comes back to the Urantia book. So what imagination in the context of the Urantia book? So this is what I said before. There's all these sort of there's hundreds of them throughout the book. We speculate, we believe, it's unrevealed to you, it's as yet unknown, we do not know, we conjecture, I'm not permitted to reveal. And then this quote from a divine counselor: these and many similar questions we ask ourselves and ask numerous other orders of celestial beings, but we do not know the answers. So in the Urantia book, I mean, I guess my view is that partly they know and they're not telling us. They're not allowed to tell us. They don't think it's wise to tell us. We're not quite ready for it. We can't grasp it. And then another big part of it is they actually don't know themselves. So whoever the author might be of that particular paper doesn't know. They're also imagining, they're also conjecturing, and they're debating, and they're trying to figure out some of the mysteries of the universe. So just some of the way my thinking took and my postulating took when I was preparing for this presentation. So when we think about the cosmos, I pulled out these quotes about the master universe, and in particular the outer space levels, and perfecters of wisdom in paper 12 to 14. This comes out of paper 12. Cosmic potential of the infinite is still self-contained and unrevealed. And it goes further, and there are those who maintain that the infinite can never attain full expression short of infinity, and therefore do they postulate an additional and unrevealed creation beyond the fourth and outermost space level, a possible ever-expanding, never-ending universe of infinity. And I I actually don't spend a lot of time in the cosmos papers when we're talking about structure of the grand universe. A lot of it is too big for me, and I can't quite grasp it. But what I guess this gets me thinking is that I can't grasp what they've already told us, but there's more, and it's infinite, and the potentiality of that is just amazing to my mind, and gets me thinking and imagining, and what is it? What does that mean? And what is this never-ending universe of infinity? And then also throughout these papers, there's a lot of unrevealed stuff. So unrevealed. So why is it unrevealed? Why do the authors not tell us? And I guess my view is I don't think we have the capacity to understand it. I think what they've already told us and what they're already revealing to us, I know from personal experience, is sometimes too big for me. So to give us more is just not practical, it's not feasible, and it's too much. So again, the personalities, and the spiritual personalities in particular. I mean, there's all these comments about unrevealed personalities, and the paper about paradise personalities. There's a long list of unrevealed spiritual personalities, and this got me thinking. Who are they? Who are these unrevealed personalities, and what do they do, and who do they serve, and what missions are they on? What's their job? And my take is that whatever they're up to is irrelevant to evolving mortals. It's not part of our future. They're not part of our future. It could be that we're not quite ready to just take it all in, but I also think that our ascension career, our evolving, our eternal career, the Urantia book has revealed to us personalities that are really key to that journey into our mortal ascension career. And there's a lot more happening outside of our pathway that they've chosen not to tell us about. And I guess this got me thinking about, we often think we're the center of the universe, and we think as an individual we're the center of the universe, or we think mortals are the center of the universe, or after studying and reading the Urantia papers, we think the most important thing about the universe is the mortal ascension career. But this really challenges that, I think. Maybe we're not the most important thing. Maybe there's a lot more going on that is as yet unrevealed to us. And this was beautiful. I mean, I plucked this out. This is this quote is talking about. You probably remember there's a part where they talk about I think 3 or 4 mysteries of Seraphington, and one of them they describe, which is the transport and the mystery of seraphic encirclement and how the seraphic transport works. They do tell us that, but then the other mysteries pertain to the personal experiences of types of spirit servers as yet not revealed to mortals, and we refrain from discussing the secrets of such closely related beings because you can almost comprehend such near orders of existence, and it would be akin to betrayal of trust to present even our partial knowledge of such phenomena. And this kind of got me, I'm like, wow, so they're so close to us, we can almost comprehend, which we know we can, of angels and seraphic guardians. So they're close and they're here, but yet there's mysteries that are unrevealed because they're so close, or because we can. So I don't know if anyone wants to, maybe after I get through the end of my presentation, we can explore that a bit more if anyone has a view about that one. So then I started thinking about our mortal ascension career. So it is inevitable that we should ask, is there a 7th career? We're mindful that when finalities attain what appears to be their final destiny of mortal ascension, they are of record as entering upon the career of 6th stage spirits. we conjecture that there awaits the finalities still another and unrevealed career in universe assignment. And then further on, it's the unknown and unrevealed mission of this accumulating host of the evolutionary and perfected veterans of time and space. And they're referring to the mortal core of finality. So I'm sure most of you know that our pathway, or we are going to become, we are going to be mustered into the core of the finalities, assuming we make it through that long journey. But then what? What happens then? And there is another stage. There is a future for that's not our final destination. I've sat in a lot of study groups where we ponder on this fact, because I know these are two quotes, but it says it in a lot of other parts of the book, and we sit around and conjecture about that final destination. What happens to finalities, what happens to us once we achieve that sixth stage, and where are we heading? And it's a great thing to ponder and imagine. And this also probably another thing I was thinking when I was creating this is what is that mortal, what's the ascension career look like? Like, what's it going to be like? What the journey and the adventure, what does it entail? What do we do every day? Who are we going to meet? And what work are we going to do? What experiences? I mean, you can sit on that for a long time, pondering and imagining what that's going to be like. And this quote actually comes off the dust jacket of the white book, one of the original books in the 1980s. I think I pulled this off the shelf. So, love of adventure, curiosity, and dread of monotony, these traits inherent in evolving human nature, were not put there just to aggravate and annoy you during your short sojourn on earth, but rather to suggest to you that death is only the beginning of an endless career of adventure, an everlasting life of anticipation, an eternal voyage of discovery. So then I moved on to Jesus, and this quote I pulled out of the Rodin papers, I think the Rodin papers, and this is when the authors are describing Jesus and his self-limiting of his divine consciousness. So they were perplexed, or they were trying to figure out whether he was conscious and hiding it from his associates, because he did that. He would know what they were thinking, or he would know what their plans were, but choose not to tell them. Or he actually self-limited that consciousness. And so there was, this quote, on numberless occasions did we witness the working of this combined personality of man and God, as it was activated by the apparent perfect union of the human and the divine minds. This is the limit of our knowledge of such phenomena. We really do not actually know the full truth about this mystery. So, I mean, the midways who wrote the Jesus papers, they couldn't figure out this phenomena of the divine and the human, the commingling or the mixture in the personality of Jesus. I started exploring where did I get to for this quote? So I started exploring the sections, the limits of revelation, and sort of, because it does say in the book, I was trying to find the gem of the quote, but it does say that they're not allowed to tell us, right? Certain things they are not permitted and not authorized to reveal. And I thought this was a good one. If revelation is to exalt and upstep the religions of evolution, then much such divine visitations portray teachings which are not too far removed from the thought and reactions of the age in which they're presented. So revelation must keep in touch with evolution. Always must the religion of revelation be limited by man's capacity of receptivity. So this is what I sort of touched on before, like they have only revealed to us just a little bit more than what we already know and where we've got to in our evolutionary path. And so it's kind of like this grasping. You can almost grasp, or it takes all of our effort and decades of study to try and grasp what they have revealed to us, and that's okay. That's enough. That's all that we're okay with now. That's all that we're ready for now, and it needs to stay close enough needs to stay close enough to our evolutionary journey for us to be able to grasp it. This is quite a big quote. I didn't want to put the whole thing here, but this ties us back to this concept of imagination. So idea decisions, the coordination of idea decisions, logical ideals, and divine truth constitutes the possession of a righteous character, the prerequisite for mortal admission to the ever-expanding and increasingly spiritual realities of the nurture worlds. So it's sort of that step. You know, we have to go through those steps of idea decisions, and then next they become these supernal ideals, and stepping into universal truth. So, you know, some readers of the Urantia Book are far better at describing this than I am, and I haven't quite grasped it yet. But I really think it starts with this sort of these ideas and imagination, and then sort of stepping through to the universal truth. So I guess I wanted to bring it right back down to the child again. Like, I think we are young children, and we are creating skills that we need later in life by going through this imaginative process, by trying to grasp what maybe has not been given to us, or trying to think through these higher ideals and sort through them and solve some of the problems. So like a child, which is where we're at really in our ascension career, using imagination and using our pondering and our creative thinking will help us sort through this stuff. And so the end, I guess I just wanted to end a bit more lighthearted, and then we can open it up, because I'm sure everyone's got some stories to share. But what do you imagine, and what do you dream about? And I was thinking about, you know, some of the gems in the Urantia Book that really get my juices going when it comes to my imagination. The description of the architectural spheres, you know, Jerusalem and all of them really, Urantia, the relief map of Urantia, the circles and the squares and the triangle sort of abodes and arrangements on Jerusalem, and you know, they have no roof, and it's like, what does that look like? How does that feel to live there? I think there is one quote, it is this one actually, I'll read it. This Jerusalem broadcast receiving station is encircled by an enormous amphitheatre constructed of scintillating, fabulous word, materials largely unknown on Urantia, and seating over 5 billion beings, material and Morontia, besides accommodating innumerable spirit personalities. It is the favourite diversion for all Jerusalem to spend their leisure at the broadcast station, there to learn of the welfare and state of the universe. And I don't know if any of you have ever imagined what it must feel like to sit there with 5 billion beings. Like that's huge. That's a awesomeness to imagine. And then, you know, I was thinking about, okay, all of Jesus's conversations. So we've got all this richness in part 4 and a beautiful description of his life. But 33 years of life is far more than what they've given us. Like, what else did he say? And who did he talk to? And what were his conversations as he passed by? And you know, I love thinking about that. Or Adam and Eve and their hundreds of years of living. Like, what was it like for them to be here for that length of time? What did they see and talk about and experience, and relationships they formed with relationships they formed with people around them, and their family. And then Van and Amadon, what did they get up to? Imagine if you met them, and what would they be like? So, oh, Siri's talking to me. So that's probably for me what I love to imagine, or just some of the things I love to imagine. So I wanted to open it up really, and just see what everybody else wants to share in their pondering and their imagination. Anyone have anything they want to talk about? Elaine.
Well, this is Patty from Boise, Idaho, and I found your insights to be terrific.
Thank you.
Opening up what imagination can actually do for us, that it is a prerequisite for the mansion worlds. And then that you made an analogy like it's the way that we see children play. And so the universe is looking at us as exercising our abilities to solve problems in preparation for what we have to do in the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Patty. Elaine, I think your hand was up.
Well, yes, it was. In fact, I'm so fascinated by all these concepts of thinking, universal thinking, and when I try to conceive what it is like way up there in the outer space levels. This is as much as I've learned it, as I conceive it. This is God the ultimate, right? And we're not there yet. This is not existing yet. God the ultimate is in progression, and it's only when this era will be fulfilled, God the supreme, when all of this grand universe will be in light and life, that the whole pattern will be ready for something new. So then we will be stewarded out there with our Michael sons and so on to live some new adventure. But we will not be the same people as we are now. We are human beings. We're just Brussels sprouts. We're just growing out of nothing right now, and we're growing. We have a fantastic destiny, and all these people out there are there to support us and so on, because they are aware at some level that this whole scheme is part of a great plan. And everybody out there, the Melchizedeks, name them, putting aside the little, how should we say, circumstances that can happen, such as rebellions that might happen in the lower spheres, if I may say. So it's a great adventure, and well, we're fortunate to just have the opportunity to look forward to it. Now, in our lives, concerning what is imagination, God is imagination. Love is imagination. If you love, if you realize that the power, that thing that we call love, that that stimulates your mind, that stimulates association with things. That is intelligence. Love is intelligence. So that's what it's all about. That's what they're all trying to tell us. You have to love. We think that love is just loving, enjoying. It's more than that. It's more than loving your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your neighbor. It's more than that. Love is understanding the unity of things and how we grow into things. And hopefully, well, eventually Urantia will live eventually to some higher levels of evolution. And I think, well, they say that in the books, you know, that we're not meant to die totally. We have a great destiny here. Michael even has apparently scheduled to be back here sometime, you know, and even Macaventa Melchizedek is scheduled to come back here, and maybe Adam and Eve. So we have a lot of things to do in the future. So that's my 2 cents worth. Thank you. Meant to say that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Hi. I really appreciated your talk. I appreciated the common sense level you put it at. I find myself spending so much time getting frustrated because the Urantia book says, well, you need to do this. And then they say, oh, but you probably won't be able to accomplish it in this lifetime. Well, why do I need to do it? Or they say to me, I'm going to tell you this, but you really aren't going to understand it anyway. And I get frustrated with that. So I appreciated the way you put it. You know, if I'm just the first link in a chain of infinity of my experience and learning, it's not, I need to quit beating myself up because I haven't mastered everything in this lifetime. And you put it on such a common sense level that I so appreciated that. And when we talk about imagination, when they were talking earlier about the I am, I've always imagined this entity, whatever his name, he, she, it is, that existed from all time. I always wondered why he did what he did. And so I imagined him being very lonely and in this existence. And so he decided, but I have so much in me that I can share myself. I can give up my free will and I can put out other entities and make creations and live life through it. And so I'm imagining what this God is like. And I don't know if we ever really get to meet the I am or not, but and just reading the book has expanded my mind beyond any level it's ever been before. I mean, I think about different creatures and I'm not afraid to meet different people, or shapes or breathers or non-breathers. And I think that's going to be an adventure. And so I just appreciated your presentation very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Gary.
Hi, everyone. I really appreciated your presentation too. Of course, it's close to my heart because you're talking about the fundamentals of things that we try to imagine in the greater universe. What I love about what imagination means to me is that it correlates directly to our spiritual insight. It's when we imagine something, it's idealistic. We're projecting forward and outward and trying to grasp at things that aren't real, that are potentially fantastic, hopefully, and progressive. If you're reading the Urantia book and you're reading all the papers about these potentials we have, your imagination is fired up, and it's a spiritual downstepping that's happening when you're feeling that. But what's most important with imagination is that it's to then take those spiritual ideals, those high imaginations that you can feel in your heart, and to transform them into contextual daily ideas that can be useful. And you can abstract things, which I often do with my art, to try to purvey the same sense of wonder that you might have read in the Urantia book. So you can instill inspiration and imagination in other people. But the main thing is to make sure that to constantly seat yourself on where you are while you imagine, to know where you are, and to know that the most useful way to galvanize your imagination is right where you are and spread it out from there. And if you just leave it up in the upper part of your hourglass and you're only thinking up there, you're not really engaging with the world we're in right now. And there's a lot. I mean, a lot. It's just an understatement. There's just a myriad of things that the Urantia book brings to our imagination, as you eloquently put in your presentation, that create an unbounded amount of imaginary thoughts about what our potentials are out there, and you can bring those to this audience right here, right now, and it works great, right? I was just listening to it and absorbing it, but when I was thinking about what you were saying, I was thinking, how do you translate that into something that you would give to somebody who doesn't read the book, or how do you make that an inspirational leverage for the world today? How do you take that? And it's much more complicated, actually, when you try to downstep something that's at the spiritual realm, bring it through philosophy into intellectual thinking, and then take it outside of you and bring it out to the world. But the challenge is really amazing, and I loved your whistle-stop tour of the potentials out there, and it reminded me of all the things that I haven't done that I still want to do. But also it reminded me to be patient. That a lot of this stuff, that when you read it, as Linda was just saying, you think, well, thanks so much for reminding me that I'm incapable of understanding that. That's just fantastic, right? But that, that's their, I think that's their attempt at grounding us. Remember, you will know this, but right now you cannot. Right? They're showing you ideal in the distance, and they're showing you idea now. And I love that. So it's been really great to listen to it. It was like bathing in the stuff that I often think about, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Gary. That's a really good point. That sort of that making sure that you stay grounded in the now and the practicalities, or you can carry yourself away on this sort of wave of imagination and idealistic thinking or creativity, and to ensure that you are aware that's what you're doing, or don't stay up there, or balance it with some practicalities of everyday living. And like, I've got all these stories in my professional life of working for leaders who are really idealistic and visionary in their leadership, and they've got sort of these 10-year plans of where they want to be, and that's all they talk about, without really without understanding the practicalities or the challenges, the constraints that are being faced today. So, it's a real skill to jump backwards and forwards, I think, between those two realms. And I would also probably put out there that I think society, and this is probably generalizing a little bit, but I think our society is moving in a direction where we don't give ourselves time. We don't give ourselves the quietness to be able to properly ponder and create and imagine. And I think, we fill up all our silence with Netflix and Spotify and chatting and social media, and we're always kind of trying to keep ourselves busy, that I worry sometimes about people, and are they giving themselves the space to really ponder their future, or in a spiritual sense, or in a life beyond here. Yeah,
excellent points. If you have spiritual idealism, but it's crushed by stress and impatience and a lack of time, it can be quite toxic. Just imagine paper 53. Just imagine Lucifer's spiritual idealism with all those things combined. Look what he did. Obviously we can't do that, but it's very toxic to not be given the time to reflect and feel that you have the ability to be able to do that sort of reflection, and to know you safely can. And the world could do with the cultivation of that understanding that we should be able to take that on and have that time. So that's a great observation too.
Trevor had his hand up before.
Philip?
Hello? Yeah?
No, Trevor had his hand up.
Sorry, Trevor.
And then there's David and Philip.
Yeah. Look, I remember many years ago, after I read the Urantia book, one thing that really struck me was the creator of the universe has got the greatest imagination as a personality, which is just incredibly inspiring. And I remember writing down a little bit, just a paragraph. So I'll just read it out to you. It was something I did ages ago, but imagine if you were one of a kind, a first cause of all things, infinitely creative, eternal, immortal, and absolute and perfect in every way conceivable, omnipresent, omnipotent, with no beginning or end to your life. Your character and nature was completely divine, and your personality contained the infinity of the goodness of love, which naturally gave and continued to give you a burning desire to share and to give of yourself, to bestow and to give your love as much as you possibly could upon everything and everyone. You ached inside with a longing for meaningful relationships with other personalities, but you were completely alone, with no one to share with. You didn't want to sit next to someone exactly like you all day for eternity. How would you change your situation? How would you go about giving of yourself? How would you go about doing it? So yeah, that was something I just wrote down after I read the Urantia book, because it paints that picture, doesn't it, of how the creator, with that incredible imagination and a personality that literally is the goodness of love, that imagination of mind, as here we are on our adventure, and we're included in it, and it's a wonderful thing. Yeah, imagination.
Sure is. Philip, did you have your hand?
I was just reminding of how the thought adjuster works through the imagination, and I was wanting to find the reference, and I've just found it. I'm going to post it here in the text, but it's paper 190, chapter 5.1, or paragraph 1, and it says, supreme and self-acting adjusters are often able to contribute factors of spiritual import to the human mind when it flows freely in the liberated but controlled channels of creative imagination. At such times, and sometimes during sleep, the adjuster is able to arrest the mental currents, to stay the flow, and then to divert the idea procession, and all this is done in order to affect deep spiritual transformations in the higher recesses of the superconscious. Thus are the forces and energies of mind more fully adjusted to the key of the contractual tones of the spiritual level of the present and the future. And yeah, so I was just remembering that. And I often think about, creativity and imagination and how they play an important part in faith and whatnot.
That's a great one. I should have called you before I finished my presentation, Philip. I could have put that one in. That's a real gem.
I just put it in the chat there as well. So, yeah.
Well, the thought adjuster. Speaking of thought adjusters, reminded me of another thing I love to imagine. That the description where they line up to, like, they I don't even know how it's described. The thought adjuster chooses you, wants to, knows that it's going to join you before you're even born. And so part of that, I don't know whether they vote or they have some sort of application process, or they go through some, I'm sure there's a system for it, or a process for it, that these adjusters are matched to us before. That's pretty amazing to imagine too.
Means David's had his hand up for a while.
David, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I really feel like it's important to assert the Urantia ABC constantly with the Urantia brothers and sisters. The Urantia ABC is that this is the kingdom of heaven, that you are all my brothers and sisters in the spiritual family in the kingdom of God. We all know that God is our Father. And in our imaginations, we have our mortal, finite, adjutant imagination, which is our own will. And we also have the Father's will, but we also have the will of Nebadon, which is a mixed will. It's our Father and Mother. So it's our Holy Mother Spirit will. That might be a will to fix up the planet and make it supremely beautiful. And we have the supreme imagination of Nebadon, which is the spirit of of truth, Christ Michael. This is a family. When we read Urantia, we're inspired by a great idealism to make a new and better world come true. And that world is here right now within us, and it wants to be out. So as it comes out, we are actually the people we've been looking for as a social spiritual brotherhood. It says here, well, it says a house divided against itself cannot stand. But this brotherhood is destined to become a living organism in contrast to an institutionalized social organization. So for us, we need to be a living heart. We need to be the beating heart of the world, because we have the beautiful spirit of Christ Michael and the Holy Mother Spirit. And no one in the world quite understands what we understand. So for me, that's the important thing, is to assert Jesus' kingdom gospel. That for me is the essential component of the united imagination, of betterment, of the will of not only the universal totality, the supremacy of will, but our individual will, when we consecrate our will to the work of being followers of Jesus. And for me, that is that's the essential excellence of being Urantian, of finding Urantian, who's consecrated and dedicated as a son and daughter of God, to doing not only the Father's will, but the combined will of the Father and the Son and the Spirit together. So I just want to mention one quote, and then I'm going to let someone else go ahead. There's a quote here, and this is in The Future. I love reading this paper, The Future of After Pentecost. Very exciting paper, very controversial. The call to the adventure of building a new and transformed human society by means of the spiritual rebirth of Jesus, brotherhood of the kingdom, should thrill all who believe in him, as men have not been stirred since the days when they walked about on earth as his companions in the flesh. So for me, basically, all the people who I want to find in the world are people who are practicing a new religion, our religion, the religion of Jesus, the living personal experience of living as a spirit indwelt mortal in the kingdom of God, in the social family of the kingdom of heaven. And I know every single one of you. I watch you and I think about you and I pray about you all the time. And I pray that instead of being dispersed, that you unite and come together as one family.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Stephen, I think you had your hand up, maybe.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Merindi. Thank you for that. It's been great. You've come on in Urantia Book studies since you were 7 or 8, since I last saw you, this was really good. Yeah, I find that I'm able to use imagination in ordinary life by, when I'm about to have a meeting with someone, think about having a chat with my guardian angel and asking them to have a chat with the person I'm meeting with, guardian angel, to help to smooth things over if it's difficult, or make things really happen if it's an exciting possibility. And then sometimes be able to think of, like I gave a little eulogy for a friend of mine that died recently, and I finished it. He was a swimmer that I'd been competing against for 17 years. And so I said at the end, so what of the future of our swimming friendship? I look forward to swimming again with Charlie in some race, in some ocean, on some planet, in some universe, at some time in the mysterious future to which Charlie has gone. I am convinced that we will swim together again or engage in some equivalent of open water swimming. That's my hopeful theory anyway, and I'm sticking with it. As I see it, Charlie can't really have died. His vigorous swimming spirit of adventure will surely swim on, doggedly and wonderfully. So sort of, there's a bit of Urantia sort of feeling that you can imaginatively work into life without having to give them the page number.
That's nice.
And I think that's sort of what makes it living and real for us in life. And so then to think of myself as myself in another, couple of million years, I'll still be me. And that's fascinating. I mean, and you'll still be you, and it'll be really nice to catch up and look up the white pages or whatever they have and have a get together over a cup of nectar or whatever they've got. So I reckon it's an ongoing thing, and it's nice to be able to think forward and to think back, that you can catch up with your mum sometime and your dad and all these people. And I think it's a great shame to miss out on the imagination of what can be. I mean, we don't know what it's really going to be like from experience, but we can read stuff and that helps, and then we can just use our own imagination. So I thought it was really good. I got in a bit late, sorry about that, Merindi, but I did get enough of it to get what you were up to there. It's pretty good. Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen.
That was good. That was good, Stephen. I just had this vision of you and your friend getting into trouble up on Jerusalem for trying to swim across one of those nice calm lakes that they have in the gardens there. Yeah. No, wonderful. Yeah. Thank you.
That's all right. Cheers.
All right. Well, that's probably it from me. I'll hand back over to Trevor. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And I'll probably stay for a little bit more and then I'll say good night too.
Cheers. I'm headed off. I've got to go out, but I just tuned in for you, Merindi. I'll catch you another time.
Okay, Stephen. Lovely to see you.
Yeah, bye. Always good. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Merindi.
Yeah, that was wonderful, Mens. Thank you. I think you've got our imaginative juices flowing, which is a wonderful thing to do, because we need to wake up each day with imagination happening in our lives, that's for sure.